It's Friday, October 26th. I am finally back in my normal environment, and let's talk about what happened this week over at XDADevelopers.com. We have a lot of stuff to cover, so let's go ahead and get started with some device update, ROM release, ROM leak type news. First off, one of the things I vaguely remember talking about in one of the last two updates was PACman ROM. It started out on the Samsung Galaxy Ace, got ported over to the Xperia Pro, and thanks to XDA senior member Blind and Dumb, it has now been ported over to the HTC Desire S and the HTC Desire HD. The Desire S specific one is a little bit early at this point. There are still some things that aren't working 100%, specifically the front-facing camera, the speakerphone, and the Wi-Fi hotspot capability. However, the Desire HD version seems to be a little bit more full-featured. It has pretty much everything working except for that front-facing camera as well. And just as a little reminder, in case I forgot to mention it, and I know I mentioned it in the previous video, PACman ROM is essentially a combination of the best features from Paranoid Android, AOKP, and CM10, so you've got all of these things cherry-picked into one place. So if you have either one of those devices and you're interested in trying out a new, different kind of ROM, go ahead and give this one a look. Next story is about a device that I don't have a whole lot of experience with, but I got to see a lot of the internals of at the Big Android BBQ. This week, thanks to XDA forum members Jackpot Calvin and Mevordell, there's a pre-release alpha of Jelly Bean and an early build of the 3.0 Linux kernel available for the Samsung Galaxy Player 5.0. Like I said, it is pre-alpha, very, very early. It's based on CM10, so it's not 100%, but some things like Wi-Fi, sound, hardware acceleration, and of course, root, are working at this point. Either way, if you're interested in it, go ahead and take a look at the forum thread, although it might be good to give it a little bit more time, unless you want to help in the development process. Now, speaking of CM10, we haven't seen a whole lot of devices receiving new ports of CM10, certainly not a whole lot of new official CM10 ports. However, thanks to XDA recognized developer Fat Tire, the Nook Color tablet now has an official port of CM10. Now, it was not just one person, there were a whole laundry list of people involved, but it was Fat Tire that actually posted it. And there are definitely some bugs, as there appear to be with most of the CM10 based ROMs at this point, but they say it is very usable for a daily driver type device if you're willing to put up with a couple of little things. Looking at the list, wouldn't work exactly for me. In my tablets, I do prefer to have Netflix working, and it appears Netflix is not working on it currently. Not a huge deal for everybody though. So anyway, if you've got the Nook Color, again, do feel free to go take a look at the forum thread and get some more information. Moving on, in a piece of news that I apparently missed in the last week or so and was reminded by Shen that I forgot to talk about, the HTC Amaze 4G is by no means a brand new device. However, over the course of its lifetime, apparently HTC neglected to release the Wi-Fi drivers for it open source, which means that developers were having huge amounts of troubles getting Wi-Fi to work on the Amaze 4G with any sort of custom ROMs. There was even a petition started by XDA member AJ2423 about 7 months ago to tell them, please release these Wi-Fi drivers open source so we can make things a little easier for us. But just last week sometime, HTC Global Online Communications Manager Jeff Gordon talked about how he worked with TI, well, the companies worked with each other to figure out a way to get it out there, so now that source code is available. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to say better late than never. Some others of you are going to say, why didn't you just do that in the first place? One way or another, I kind of go for the better late than never argument, because it is better to just have it and be able to keep those devices going for a little while longer. Anyway, that wraps up the majority of the stories I'm going to talk about this week. Let's talk about the Big Android BBQ again and the XDA specific stuff. At the Big Android BBQ, there were at least 2 XDA specific presentations given. The first one, which you can read all about over on the XDA site, was all about the future of Android development, and it was done by a panel of recognized developers and elite recognized developers, so you've got people that really know what they're talking about up there telling you what's going to be coming in Android development, and specifically for people like XDA developers. The second XDA specific presentation was done by XDA senior moderator Not a Trio Fan and XDA senior moderator Jared Dog, who's also a Portal writer. That's where they talked about the history of XDA, the past, the present, the future, you know, what's been, what's coming, all of that sort of fun stuff. If you're interested in reading more about either of those, do head over to the website and check it out. Also, if you haven't seen it already, make sure to check out the video posted by Adrianock and filmed by yours truly. Sorry about the blurriness every now and again. I was using a point and shoot camera, where you get a chance to meet the XDA moderating team. Honestly, I gotta say, after getting to hang out with those guys for a few days at the barbecue, awesome guys. They're doing an amazing job on the forum. And also, TK released an app review this week showing you how to dim your screen when you use MHL using Screen Standby. I seem to remember talking about that app in a previous video, maybe not. Either way, if you want to learn a little bit more about it, if you use your device to connect to MHL and have HDMI out to your TV or something, that could be a useful app to have. And finally, and this is actually kind of exciting to me, XDA is hiring. We're looking to add 1 or 2 talented developers, specifically a full-time PHP developer to help work on the site, and a contract, sort of part-time but could eventually turn into a full-time position, Android developer. So if you're interested in learning more about either of those positions, do check out the link down in the video description, head on over to the portal. But that's going to be all from me for today. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.